My name is Taylor Phillips, and I'm doing my song analysis on The Unknown Soldier by The Doors. Three main things I want to talk about. The culture surrounding the release of the song. Number two, the song itself. And number three, my interpretation. Vietnam War is a hot topic of discussion day and night. The country is divided in half over what is right and wrong. And during this, we see a surge of young people getting involved in things they weren't decades before. 1968 is very similar to our 2020. Here are a few key dates that prove that's true. January 15th, Montana Congresswoman Jeannette Rankin, who voted for America to opt out of both world wars, leads a peace march of 5,000 women to D.C. to protest the Vietnam War. On February 8th, a lot of young protesters on the South Carolina State campus are fired on by police. 3 are killed and 27 injured. On April 4th, Martin Luther King Jr., a civil rights activist and leader, is assassinated. Protesters, news reporters, and bystanders are clubbed and tear gassed at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. That happened in August. More young protesters shot in a protest in Mexico City. That's in October. And November 9th, we see female undergrad students admitted to Yale. So I included these dates, kind of show how crazy it is in 1968, like it is in 2020. But I don't want to talk about Vietnam and all that because we've heard that lecture a million times. Some people thought we were right by being in Vietnam, and some people didn't. So the country was split in half over what is right and what is wrong. And what we see is a lot of young people are leading movements and protests all across the nation. They're taking up causes of these new bands from overseas and in the U.S. And so what I mean by that is all these new bands that are coming out, all these young people that are listening to them are kind of taking up their political beliefs. Most eluded of these, out of all of them, are hippies, people who wanted to withdraw troops from Vietnam. So you see in TVs, movies, shows, people kind of pick fun at the hippies. This is kind of when that started, that counterculture. This movement of counterculture can be traced back to the Senator McCarthy communist witch hunts in Congress and other government officials. So what do I mean by that? If you don't know already, Senator McCarthy was a guy who, he really pursued communism in Congress. He's the kind of guy that would find you and make sure you can never get a job again if you disagreed with anything American or capitalist in the slightest bit. Well, why? Why such a big deal about communism? Well, Russia is a growing power during this time. They're competing with America. It was unpatriotic, and it was considered treason to not support American capitalism. So if you had some disagreements with that, you were seen as a communist. So often in 1968, it's kind of conservatives versus far leftists. It's where you kind of see that schism start, and that's why I believe it's so bad today. It's so polarized. Or you could call it old people versus young people. Young adults were experimenting with drugs, and new bands like Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and these bands' views bled through to their listeners. So the song I'm going to be analyzing today is The Unknown Soldier by The Doors. The Doors makes a subgenre of rock known as psychedelic rock. Now here in the PowerPoint, they really are kind of like the pioneers of this genre. They're the ones that really started it. At this time, this music seemed barbarian compared to its predecessors like Buddy Holly or the Beach Boys. Everybody knows the Beach Boys, that mellow, 50s kind of rock kind of deal. Very gentle, very mellow. Under the influence of psychedelics like acid and LSD, a cult following of the Doors ensued, with his followers also experimenting with heavy drugs. I put a quote from some of the research I did. I'm going to move my phone just a little bit so I can read it. Cam Cloud notes that the passage of time seems to slow down tremendously. When under the influence of acid, a few minutes may seem like hours, a few hours may seem like days. This effect is known as time dilation. At the peak of a powerful trip, it may seem as if time has come to a complete stop, plunging the tripper into a timeless, eternal realm. So I put that in there because oftentimes what would happen is these musicians, they would take drugs and they would receive visions, or they'd become enlightened with new thoughts that they hadn't had before. And what ended up happening was the people who listened to them, they did the same thing, and a lot of them took up these bands' causes in the protests and whatnot. Next part of the PowerPoint, I included some pictures. The Doors is on the right, and the lead singer, Jim Morrison, is on the left. So this is the portion where we listen to the song. I'm going to pull it up really fast. I'm going to keep it muted until the ad's over.
Wait until the war is over, and we're both a little older. The unknown soldier. Breakfast where the news is read, television, children fed, unborn living dead. Bullet strikes the helmet's head, and it's all over for the unknown soldier. It's all over for the unknown soldier.
At this point in the song, there's a company of soldiers marching. It's a firing squad. So what they just did is they just shot someone.
For the unknown soldier, nestled in your hollow shoulder. The unknown soldier. Crackers where the news is read, television, children fed. Bullet strikes the helmet's head. It's all over. The war is over.
So I stopped the song right there because he just says the war is over and over, and I kind of wanted to finish the PowerPoint before the time was up. Let me do it from current slide. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the song, the lyrics, and my interpretation. The song features an electric sounding organ, a very common instrument during the time. Could be some kind of early synth board, some kind of embellishments in it. A lot of electronic sounds coming out of this time. There's a drum. Somebody's playing the drums, kind of a simpler beat. There is a little electric guitar, and a single vocalist, Jim Morrison. After the first verse, we hear what appears to be marching soldiers in a firing squad shoot someone. Then the song continues. As the song draws out, the lyrics get, let's see, let me move my phone up. The song draws out, and the vocals get louder and harsher. At the beginning, it's kind of catchy, uplifting, maybe, and then after that is very grim. The lyrics, if you're following along with your PowerPoint, you have them right here, but I'll read them just in case you don't. Wait until the war is over and we're both a little older, the unknown soldier. Breakfast where the news is read, television, children fed, unborn living dead. Bullet strikes the helmet's head. And it's all over for the unknown soldier. It's all over for the unknown soldier. Company, halt, present arms. Make a grave for the unknown soldier, nestled in your hollow shoulder, the unknown soldier. And at this point in the song is when he starts yelling. Breakfast where the news is read, television children fed, bullet strikes the helmet's head, and it's all over. The war is over, it's all over, war is over. And like I said, then he just kind of starts saying the same thing over and over. So let's talk about the interpretation now, the final topic. I believe the song was written as a protest to the war, mainly how the media portrayed it as some sort of heroic act. And we can go back to the previous slide and see where he says, television children fed. I believe he's alluding to the fact that the media just feeds us stuff and doesn't want us to know the truth. Because Vietnam, what happened with Vietnam was the news was saying like we were winning and stuff, and we really weren't. Uh, so that's what I think the song's mainly about. Kind of the media and how it was portraying the war, how we were winning, but we really weren't. Unvalidated sources. I say that because I found it on a website, but it's not a credible source. Unvalidated sources say an early music video featured a soldier strapped to a pole getting shot, and in some live shows, the guitarist Rick Manzarek would shoot Jim with his guitar, and he would fall to the ground. So he'd pick up his guitar and hold it like a rifle and shoot him, and he'd fall over. And then I put another quote talking about how psychedelic drugs affects the lyrics of a song. Psychedelic lyrics commonly express psychological and philosophical insights gained during the trip. So that's kind of like what I said earlier. When these people are on psychedelic drugs, they get some kind of insight, some kind of enlightenment, and it's you can tell by the words of some psychedelic rock songs, kind of weird, kind of trippy, and that's because of that. So with that, let's do some discussion questions. Does Jim Morrison's heavy drug use invalidate his opinion? Would we heed every word spoken by a stranger who is on mind-altering drugs? Does his platform change that? So Jim Morrison was an alcoholic and used heavy drugs. Does that make his opinion invalid? I would say to some degree yes, but to some degree no. The yes being he's at home making music. If you didn't know this, Jim Morrison, the ladies loved him. He was extremely attractive back then, and everybody loved him. Everybody's fighting in a war, and he's saying how bad it is while he's at home making money, making music. But at the same time, he wasn't wrong either. So that's something to consider. Does his platform change that? If there's kind of like that archetype character in movies, a guy from New York, like a homeless man saying the world's gonna end. Everybody just shrugs it off. But would we, if a celebrity, like a big celebrity, say like, I don't know, just if your favorite celebrity says something pretty dramatic, would you listen to it? Number two, does the media hold such power to sway our opinion? I agree wholeheartedly. Just look at Fox News, CNN, how biased both news networks are, how they keep things from one another. There's no really neutral news station anymore. The decision is yours, but we can see how a figure as popular as Jim Morrison could use his platform to share his beliefs. In a different perspective, it's kind of creepy and cult-like how much we hold on to every word these musicians tell us to. So that's my song analysis. I got my sources on the last slide. I couldn't put it on the next one because they're so long. They're also on the handout as well. Thank you for watching the whole thing. If you did, key takeaways. 1968 was a crazy year. Lots of drugs, lots of crazy songs, lots of insight, lots of new voices. So yeah, people using their platform to share their beliefs. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of the day.